Well, call me a 14-year-old Tumblr girl because I be slitting some stuff over. Quick little disclaimer, the developers of Hellsplit, Deep Type Games, were kind enough to send me this game for free. I'm not being paid to talk highly of it, I'm just gonna review it like I would any other game. Check the little received item for free box on Steam for you. Deep Type were also kind enough to give me 2 more copies of Hellsplit for free to give away. If you'd like to join the giveaway, just join the Discord and click this little green check mark to enter. The giveaway will conclude on Friday, October 28th. Hellsplit Arena is obviously an arena game, crazy, I know, but not only can you do some sick trick shots in this game, but you also get a complete story mode as well. Long story short, Hellsplit Arena is a great time in VR with combat and physics to rival other great VR titles. But this isn't the long story short, this is the long story not short. Hellsplit Arena makes my gamer brain go fucking monkey mode in the sheets. God damn! Not to give you a Hellsplit Arena the full story because I can make a whole video on that, but basically more or less you're a fighter who has been chosen to fight a multitude of bosses and some silly monsters along the way. With each chapter, the game gets progressively harder and more challenging, again also giving you some interesting bosses to fight. Now I know what you're thinking, Viewie, what about the story makes it actually interesting? I know, man, I just knew what you were thinking. I'm a fucking mind reader, crazy, I know. But without spoiling too much, the story plays out in these title cards that lead to new and more challenging levels, again each level giving you more difficult enemies to fight. You'll have to save up the gold you get to purchase new items along the way. But these items don't mean butt cheese without some super sick combat to go along with it. Obviously, with the gameplay shown, Hellsplit is based around your typical sword and shield type of combat. We get that, we can all understand that. We don't need to go into my comments and fight over this one. If you want to imagine with me for a second, take Blade and Sorcery, right? Now add some Halloween decorations and burn the witches at the stake so there's no more magic. Combat feels pretty smooth, really no complaints here, but we'll get to that in a bit, and in a bit, I mean right now. For some reason, whenever an enemy is wearing a good amount of armor and you can really only give him a kiss on the forehead, it's super difficult to make that shot. And before all the little trolls go into my comments again saying skill issue, or get good, or where's my lobster, only if you're going to get that joke. I don't have this issue in Boneworks, I don't have this issue in Blade and Sorcery, I don't have this issue in VR Hawk, and it's really my only issue with this game. Aside from, again, the only issue I have with this game, the enemies are actually a full-on challenge in this game. Do you ever have that moment in games where you're just slashing through everything like Markiplier's OnlyFans, only to realize most VR games aren't that hard? Hellsplit really does give you a challenge. While recording footage, I had this moment where 3 guys were surrounding me, and while that might sound like a fun idea to some, this time they weren't looking for the same type of head. In other titles, Boneworks, you don't really ever feel a challenge unless you're just swarmed with enemies. And in the same scenario for Hellsplit, you're actually having to think tactically and think ahead. And again, I hear you ask, Viewie, you said this was Fable meets Blade and Sorcery. I know you're thinking it, my guy. The fucking That's So Raven moment head ass. So you know Fable, right? This super cool RPG game where your actions have consequences towards your character that came out for the original Xbox? It's nothing like Hellsplit. Get baited, kid. Hellsplit and Fable have nothing related to each other gameplay-wise. Obviously, if I say fucking abracadabra in Fable and lightning shoots out of my ass, but if I do the same thing in Hellsplit, I just get looked at funny, then they're not similar. But where these games do match together is in the story department. Picture this, a game set in the medieval times where the main character is a warrior who is the last of his kind that has this super sick journey to fight back a greater unknown. That's right, it's Skyrim. We're playing Skyrim. It's especially noticeable with these COD-style cutscenes that both games use to tell the story. It's just a little too sus if you ask me. But where does the Blade and Sorcery part come in? I wonder what comparison I can make with Hellsplit and Blade and Sorcery. It's obviously hard not to compare Hellsplit and Blade and Sorcery with each other, and it's a little awkward for me since Deep Type sent me this game, but they're not paying me, so I'm gonna say what I want. Both games are very similar to each other, but overall are trying to do different things. Basically, without giving you a full rundown of Hellsplit versus Blade and Sorcery, Hellsplit is more focused on world building and storytelling while also being an arena game, and Blade and Sorcery really focuses on the sorcery and combat side of things. But just like 90% of Steam VR titles, this game wouldn't be getting talked about without. So there's this really super cool and epic thing that most VR games go through called the not getting support and dying in popularity, so people like me can't talk about games like Gorn without sounding like an old man. But luckily Hellsplit doesn't have that problem, so my youth has been restored. A few months ago, which is 10 years in VR time, Deep Type Games released 1.17, which included all these sick and epic and cool mechanics to the game like climbing and grabbing and gripping and shooting and bridges. The guns are actually satisfying to use unlike these other stinky VR weapons, and actually have animations behind them, which you think would be a bad thing because lay immersion breaking, but it's actually really cool and epic, and I promise to stop saying cool and epic soon. But first, let's look at these animations. Wow, very cool animations, very animated, very cool and epic. Another little fun tidbit of information is the confirmation of mods. Yeah, cool, right? Mod support. I know mods, you know mods, we all know mods, we love mods on this channel. Hellsplit for $25 is a great time in VR, especially if you're looking for something like Blade and Sorcery, but with a story mode, then this is for you. Again, thanks Deep Type for sending the game out. It's crazy to see that email got me feeling like a girl on her sweet 16. Ooh, ooh, yeah, ooh.